The massive alien ships appeared in Earth's sky on a Tuesday morning. General Krextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the small blue planet below. His 4 arms crossed over his chest as he studied the data on his screens. The humans looked weak and soft compared to his own people. "Sir, we have finished studying their communications," said his aide, Veloth. The young officer's purple skin was darker than usual, showing his excitement. "These humans are more dangerous than we first thought." Krextar turned his large head toward Veloth. His yellow eyes narrowed. "Explain." Veloth touched his control pad. Images appeared on the main screen. "Look at these messages we picked up from their networks. They talk about war dogs and attack animals. They say things like cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war and unleash the hounds. These are clearly military terms." The general looked at the pictures. He saw humans walking beside 4-legged creatures. The animals had sharp teeth and alert eyes. Some were large and muscular. Others were smaller but moved with quick, nervous energy. "These beasts live in their homes," Veloth continued. "The humans feed them and care for them every day. This means they have trained these creatures from birth to be perfect weapons. Look how the animals follow commands and stay close to their human handlers." Krextar felt a chill run through his body. His people had fought many wars across the galaxy. They had conquered dozens of worlds, but they had never seen anything like this. Most species kept their dangerous animals locked away or used machines for fighting. Only the most advanced military minds would think to live with their weapons and treat them like family. "How many of these war beasts do they have?" he asked. "Our scans show hundreds of millions of them on the planet. Maybe more. They are everywhere. The humans live. Some humans have multiple beasts in the same dwelling." The bridge fell silent. Even the other officers stopped their work to listen. Hundreds of millions of trained war animals was more than their entire invasion force could handle. "What types of combat abilities do these creatures possess?" Krextar asked. Veloth brought up more images. "We see many different breeds. Some are large and powerful, clearly built for direct attack. Others are small and fast, perfect for infiltration and sabotage. The humans have created different types for different battle situations." On the screen, a German shepherd ran through an obstacle course while a human watched. The animal jumped over barriers and crawled under nets with perfect timing. "This one shows advanced tactical training," Veloth explained. "And look at this." The next video showed a small chihuahua barking loudly at a delivery truck. The tiny dog's voice echoed through the neighborhood. "A biological alarm system," Veloth said with fear in his voice, "small enough to hide anywhere, but loud enough to alert entire areas to enemy presence." Krextar watched more videos. Children played with golden retrievers in parks. The large animals moved gently around the small humans, never using their obvious strength to hurt them. This level of control and training was beyond anything he had imagined. "The most frightening part," Veloth whispered, "is how the humans have made these beasts love them. Look at how the animals focus on their handlers. They would die to protect their human partners. This is not just training. This is total loyalty." The general felt his confidence falling. His invasion plan had counted on humans being weak and divided, but a species that could create such perfect partnerships with dangerous animals was clearly more advanced than his intelligence reports had suggested. "Send a message to the human leaders," Krextar ordered. "Tell them we wish to negotiate." "Should we mention the war beasts, sir?" "Yes. Let them know we are aware of their military assets. Perhaps they will be willing to talk instead of unleashing their creatures on us." The communication officer, a nervous young female named Zixara, worked at her console. "I have a connection to their space station, sir. A human military officer is responding." "Put him on screen." The image of Captain Jake Morrison appeared on the main display. He wore a blue uniform and had short brown hair. His face looked calm and confident. Behind him, other humans worked at their stations. "This is Captain Morrison of Earth Defense Command," the human said. "You are in violation of Earth space. State your intentions." Krextar straightened to his full height. Even through the screen, he wanted to show his authority. "I am General Krextar of the Zephyrian Empire. We have come to discuss the terms of your surrender. Jake's eyebrows rose slightly. Surrender? I think you might be confused about the situation here. We are not confused, human. We know about your war beasts. We have studied your communications. We know you have trained millions of creatures to fight for you. Jake turned to speak quietly with a woman officer beside him. She had short black hair and wore the same blue uniform. After a moment, Jake looked back at the screen. I think there might be some misunderstanding about our companions, Jake said carefully. But if you want to talk, we can arrange a meeting. We will give you 48 of your hours to consider our terms, Krextar announced. Prepare your strongest war beasts for inspection. We must see what we are dealing with before we can proceed. Jake's face showed confusion, but he nodded. We'll prepare our representatives. Where do you want to meet? The neutral station in your outer system. And human. Krextar leaned forward. Do not think your beasts frighten us. We have prepared special containment systems. Your creatures will not save you if you choose to fight. The communication ended. Krextar turned back to his officers. All of them looked worried. Sir, Veloth said quietly, what if their war beasts are even more dangerous than we think? What if this meeting is a trap? Krextar considered this. The humans had seemed almost amused by his warnings. Either they were very confident in their abilities, or they were hiding something even worse than what his scouts had discovered. Double the medical staff, he ordered, and prepare the strongest containment fields we have. If these humans want to show us their monsters, we will be ready. As his ship moved toward the meeting point, Krextar wondered if he had made a terrible mistake in coming to this small blue world. Captain Jake Morrison sat in the emergency meeting room at Luna Prime Station. Around the table, Earth's top military and science leaders tried to understand what had just happened. The alien general's words kept playing in Jake's mind. War beasts. Trained creatures, it made no sense. They think our dogs are weapons, said Dr. Amy Rodriguez, Earth's leading expert on alien life. She had been studying the recorded conversation for 2 hours. Her dark eyes showed both confusion and amusement. Every reference they made points to the same conclusion. They believe we have militarized our pets. Admiral Ben Carter leaned back in his chair. The old man had fought in 3 wars, but nothing had prepared him for this situation. How did they get this idea? Amy touched her tablet and brought up images on the wall screen. We intercepted some of their internal communications. They've been monitoring our internet, our movies, our books, but they're translating everything wrong. The screen showed a list of phrases the aliens had collected. Dogs of war appeared at the top, followed by attack dog, guard dog, and hunting hound. Below those were movie titles like War Dogs and K9 Unit. To them, these all sound like military terms, Amy explained. They don't understand that most of these are just expressions or entertainment. When they see police dogs working with officers, they think they're seeing combat units in training. Jake shook his head. So they came here expecting to fight an army of super-trained animals? Worse than that, Amy said. They think we've been breeding these creatures for generations to be perfect soldiers. In their minds, any species that could create such loyalty in dangerous predators must be incredibly advanced. At that moment, Dr. Chris Williams was getting the strangest phone call of his life. He stood in his veterinary clinic in Denver, looking at his golden retriever Max, who was sleeping peacefully in a patch of sunlight by the window. Dr. Williams, this is Colonel Rick Barnes from Peterson Space Force Base. We need you and your dog at the base immediately. Chris almost dropped the phone. My dog? Is this some kind of joke? No joke, Doctor. It's a matter of national security. We'll explain everything when you get here. 30 minutes later, Chris sat in another meeting room with Max at his feet. The dog's tail wagged slowly as he looked around at all the new people. Colonel Barnes tried to explain the situation without laughing. The aliens think Max is a weapon, Barnes said simply. Chris looked down at his dog, who was now trying to get attention from a serious-looking general. Max's pink tongue hung out of his mouth as he panted happily. Max? A weapon? He's afraid of the vacuum cleaner. That doesn't matter, Barnes continued. What matters is that these aliens are terrified of our dogs. All of our dogs. And we need to use that fear to protect Earth. Meanwhile, aboard the Zephyrian flagship, General Krextar studied new intelligence reports. His science officer, Dr. Nexmol, had been analyzing human behavioral patterns around their warbeasts. The relationship is even more complex than we thought, Dr. Nexmol reported. Humans allow these creatures into their sleeping areas. They share food with them. Some humans even celebrate the anniversary of when they first acquired their beast. Krextar felt his stomach twist. They celebrate bonding with weapons? It appears so, sir. And look at this. The screen showed children playing with dogs in a park. They expose their young to these creatures from an early age. This suggests the beasts are trained to recognize and protect human offspring. Biological loyalty programming, Krextar whispered. They start the conditioning process when both the humans and the beasts are young. Sub-Commander Veloth entered, the room carrying more data tablets. Sir, we've identified several distinct breeds of war beast. Each appears designed for specific combat roles. Images filled the screen. A German shepherd stood alert beside a police officer. A border collie herded sheep across a field. A tiny Yorkshire terrier sat in an elderly woman's lap. This large one is clearly for direct assault, Veloth explained, pointing to the German shepherd. The medium-sized one appears to be a tactical coordinator, able to control groups of other animals. And this small one, he indicated the Yorkshire Terrier. Perfect for infiltration, small enough to hide anywhere, but still maintaining the species' aggressive capabilities. Dr. Nexmol nodded agreement. We also found evidence of specialized training facilities they called dog parks. These appear to be combat simulation areas where multiple beasts practice coordinated maneuvers. The screen showed dogs running, jumping, and playing together in a large fenced area. To the aliens, it looked like military exercises. And here, Veloth continued, we see evidence of their medical support system. The image changed to show a veterinary clinic. They have dedicated medical facilities just for maintaining their war beasts. This level of care suggests these creatures are extremely valuable military assets. Back on Earth, more dog owners were being contacted by confused military personnel. Kate Murphy, a police officer from Chicago, received orders to report to the nearest air base with her German shepherd, Duke. Helen Garcia, a retired teacher from Phoenix, got a similar call about her Chihuahua. Princess Joe Patterson was feeding his basset hound, Charlie, when the military truck arrived at his farm. The lazy dog barely lifted his head from his food bowl as uniformed officers explained that he was needed for special diplomatic duties. Charlie? Joe laughed. This dog sleeps 18 hours a day. The most dangerous thing he's ever done is knock over my coffee table with his tail. But the officers were serious. Within hours, dogs from across the country were being transported to secure facilities. Their confused owners came along, still not fully understanding why their pets were suddenly considered vital to national security. Dr. Amy Rodriguez worked with a team of linguists to prepare descriptions of each selected dog. They had to be truthful, but allow the aliens to maintain their fearful misconceptions. Max is a golden-furred companion animal with advanced social integration capabilities, she wrote. Highly intelligent and capable of complex emotional responses. Shows strong, protective instincts toward his human family unit. For Princess the Chihuahua, she wrote, compact surveillance specialist with enhanced auditory alarm capabilities. Despite small size, demonstrates fearless territorial behavior and rapid response protocols. Charlie the Basset Hound became low profile, tracking specialist with superior scent detection abilities. Employs patience-based hunting strategies and demonstrates remarkable endurance. As these descriptions were prepared for transmission to the alien fleet, General Krextar was making his own preparations. He had ordered his medical staff to prepare for casualties. His engineers had designed special containment cells with multiple backup systems. These humans are either very brave or very foolish, he told his officers. They agreed to bring their war beasts to a meeting. Either they plan to attack us, or they believe their creatures are so well trained that they can control them in any situation. What if they're planning to demonstrate their beast capabilities as a show of strength? Asked Veloth. Krextar considered this possibility. Then we must be prepared for anything. These creatures have been bred and trained by a species clever enough to reach space. We cannot underestimate what they might be capable of. As both sides prepared for their historic meeting, neither fully understood what they were about to encounter. The humans still didn't grasp how terrified the aliens were, and the aliens had no idea that Earth's most fearsome war beasts were actually beloved family pets who spent their days napping in sunny spots and begging for treats. General Krextar walked through the specially built containment facility aboard his flagship. The room looked like a fortress. Force fields hummed at every entrance. Emergency medical stations lined the walls. His best engineers had worked for 20 hours straight to build what they hoped would be strong enough to hold Earth's war beasts. The neural dampening fields are at maximum power, reported Chief Engineer Kickstar. Her 6 arms moved quickly over the control panels as she ran. Final tests. If these creatures try to use any psychic attacks, the dampeners will block them. What about physical containment? Krextar asked. Triple-layered force barriers, sir. The inner field can stop a charging battle tank. The middle field has sonic disruptors to confuse the creatures. The outer field can deliver non-lethal stunning energy if needed. Krextar nodded, but he still felt nervous. His people had never faced animals trained from birth to be living weapons. Every report from his intelligence team made these Earth creatures sound more dangerous. Dr. Nexmol approached with his latest analysis. Sir, I have disturbing news about the human war beasts. We intercepted more of their communications. It appears some of these creatures have been modified for specialized psychological warfare. Explain. They have breeds they call therapy, dogs. Our translators believe these are animals trained to break enemy morale through advanced mental manipulation. The humans use them in hospitals and schools, which suggests they can affect even the most protected minds. The general's yellow skin grew paler. Mental attacks as well as physical ones? It appears so, sir. And there's more. We found references to service dogs that are apparently so well trained, they can anticipate their handlers' needs before being given commands. This level of mental connection suggests a form of telepathic bond. Back on Earth, the hastily assembled dog team was being prepared at Peterson Space Force Base. Chris Williams sat in a briefing room with the other dog owners, still trying to understand his role in saving the world. Max lay at his feet, completely unaware that alien intelligence officers considered him a dangerous weapon. The golden retriever was more interested in the sandwich crumbs that had fallen from someone's lunch. Kate Murphy held Duke's leash as the German shepherd sniffed around the room. Duke was well trained from his police work, but his idea of combat was chasing tennis balls and doing tricks for treats. This is insane, Helen Garcia whispered to the others. Her tiny chihuahua, Princess, sat in her lap wearing a pink sweater. They think Princess is some kind of attack animal? She weighs 4 pounds. Joe Patterson just shook his head. His basset hound, Charlie, had fallen asleep under the table. The dog's loud snoring filled the quiet room. Colonel Barnes entered with Dr. Amy Rodriguez and several other officials. They looked serious, but Amy seemed to be fighting back a smile. Ladies and gentlemen, Barnes began, you and your dogs are about to become Earth's most important diplomatic team. The aliens we're meeting believe your pets are highly trained. Military assets, we need to maintain that illusion long enough to negotiate a peaceful solution. Chris raised his hand. What exactly do you want us to do? Max doesn't know any attack commands. His most dangerous trick is shaking hands. That's actually perfect, Amy said. We've been studying alien psychology. They interpret dog behavior very differently than we do. When Max shakes hands, they'll see it as a demonstration of perfect obedience and tactical training. She activated a tablet and showed them the profiles that had been prepared for each dog. Max is described as a golden-furred tactical companion with advanced psychological operations capabilities. Duke is a multi-purpose combat specialist with law enforcement integration protocols. Princess is a compact infiltration unit with enhanced vocal intimidation systems. And Charlie is a specialized tracking operative with patient observation strategies. The dog owners looked at each other in amazement. Their beloved pets had been transformed into military descriptions that made them sound like secret weapons. The key, Amy continued, is to let the aliens' own fears work against them. Don't try to make your dog seem scary. Just act normal. Their misconceptions will do the rest. Meanwhile, aboard the Zephyrian ship, panic was spreading through the crew. Word had leaked about the upcoming meeting with Earth's war beasts, and rumors were growing wilder by the hour. I heard they have creatures that can bite through metal, whispered communications officer Zixara to her friend. My cousin's unit fought the Kavari battle lizards, replied sensor technician Plexme. He said those were nothing compared to what the humans supposedly have. Sub-Commander Veloth tried to maintain order, but even his officers were nervous. Remember your training, he told his security team. These creatures may be dangerous, but they are still just animals. Stay alert and follow protocol. General Krextar received a final report from his intelligence division. The news was worse than he had feared. Sir, we've discovered that humans have created an entire industry around their war beasts, reported Intelligence Chief Moxara. There are facilities called pet stores that appear to be equipment suppliers. They sell specialized gear, food, and training devices. Show me. The screen displayed images from pet store websites. Dog toys looked like training equipment. Leashes appeared to be control devices. Bags of dog food were labeled with terms like active formula and high energy. And look at this, sir. Moxara brought up pictures of dog shows. These appear to be competitive evaluations where humans test their creatures' abilities. The beasts perform complex routines and are judged on their performance. To the aliens, dog agility courses looked like military obstacle training. Dogs jumping through hoops seemed like assault preparation. The careful grooming and presentation suggested these animals were valuable enough to maintain in perfect condition. There's more, sir. We found evidence of something called puppy training classes. It appears they begin conditioning these creatures when they are very young, ensuring complete loyalty from birth. Krexter felt his confidence crumbling. An enemy that started training their weapons as babies and maintained entire industries to support them was beyond anything his military had encountered. Double the medical staff again, he ordered, and prepare emergency evacuation procedures. If this meeting goes wrong, I want the option to retreat quickly. Dr. Nexmol approached with one final piece of intelligence. Sir, there's something else. We intercepted communications suggesting that some humans have multiple war beasts in their homes. Some families apparently maintain entire packs of these creatures. How many? Records show some humans caring for 5 or more animals simultaneously. The logistics alone suggest a level of military organization we hadn't considered. The general sat heavily in his command chair. He had conquered 12 worlds and defeated armies across 3 star systems. But the thought of facing creatures, so well trained that humans trusted them around their children, made his hands shake. Prepare for the worst, he told his officers. These humans are either the bravest species in the galaxy, or they have created weapons so perfect that they feel completely safe around them. As both fleets moved toward the neutral meeting station, the contrast between expectation and reality grew even wider. The aliens prepared for a military demonstration that could determine the fate of their invasion. The humans prepared to introduce some very confused aliens to the concept of unconditional love between species. Neither side realized that the most dangerous thing about Earth's war beasts was their ability to make anyone fall in love with them at first sight. The neutral space station Harmony Point had never hosted a meeting like this one. Both human and alien ships floated nearby as the two sides prepared for their historic encounter. Inside the station's main conference room, tension filled the air. General Krextar arrived first with 12 heavily armed soldiers. Each warrior wore full battle armor and carried weapons designed to stop large predators. Medical officers waited behind them with emergency treatment kits. The general himself wore his finest ceremonial armor, but underneath he felt more nervous than he had ever been in his long military career. Containment fields are active, reported his aide Veloth. All emergency protocols are ready. Remember, Krexter told his soldiers, these creatures have been trained since birth to obey humans. Do not make any sudden movements. Do not show fear. and do not look directly into their eyes for too long. The alien soldiers nodded, but their hands stayed close to their weapons. Captain Jake Morrison entered from the opposite door, followed by Dr. Amy Rodriguez and the dog owners. Max trotted beside Chris Williams, his tail wagging as he looked around the interesting new room. Duke walked calmly next to Kate Murphy, his police training keeping him alert but relaxed. Helen Garcia carried Princess, who peeked out from her pink sweater with bright, curious eyes. Joe Patterson had to gently encourage Charlie to keep moving, as the basset hound wanted to stop and sniff every new smell. The moment the alien saw the dogs, chaos erupted. Soldier Hicksmar took one look at Max's golden fur and friendly face and immediately fainted. His armor clattered loudly as he hit the floor. 2 medical officers rushed to help him while the other soldiers raised their weapons. "Hold your positions," Krextar commanded, though his own voice shook slightly. "They are still under human control." Max heard the loud noise and saw people on the ground. His natural instinct to help kicked in. He pulled gently on his leash toward the fallen soldier, wanting to check if the strange person was okay. "Max, stay," Chris said softly, not understanding that the aliens interpreted this as a demonstration of perfect battlefield control. "Incredible," whispered Dr. Nexmol. The beast responded instantly to verbal commands even in a combat situation. Duke, with his police training, sensed the tension in the room. He sat down next to Kate and watched the aliens carefully. His alert posture and steady gaze made him look like he was evaluating potential threats. "The large one is analyzing our positions," Veloth said quietly to his general. "Look how it studies each of our soldiers." Princess chose that moment to start barking. The tiny chihuahua had noticed the alien's strange appearance and wanted to let everyone know about these unusual visitors. Her high-pitched bark echoed through the conference room. 3 more alien soldiers stumbled backward. Their hands went to their ears as Princess's voice bounced off the metal walls. "Sonic attack," shouted Veloth. "The small one is using acoustic warfare." Helen tried to calm Princess down. "Hush, baby. It's okay. These are new friends." But to the aliens, Helen's gentle words sounded like tactical commands being given to a biological weapon. Charlie, completely unaware of the drama around him, found a comfortable spot near the conference table and lay down. Within seconds, he was fast asleep and snoring loudly. "What is that sound?" asked Dr. Nexmol with fear in his voice. "Combat meditation," Krextar replied grimly. "The creature is entering a focused battle state while remaining ready to attack at any moment." Jake Morrison watched the scene with growing amazement. The most powerful military force in the galaxy was terrified of a sleeping basset hound and a chihuahua in a sweater. "General Krextar," Jake said carefully, "I think we should begin our negotiations." "Yes," the alien general replied, never taking his eyes off the dogs. "But first, we must establish rules for controlling your war beasts during our discussion." Amy Rodriguez stepped forward. "These are our finest representatives. Each one has been selected for their special abilities." This was true, though not in the way the aliens understood it. Max had been chosen because he was friendly to everyone. Duke was selected for his training and calm temperament. Princess was included because her small size made her less threatening to humans, and Charlie was picked because he was so lazy that nothing could make him aggressive. "The golden one," Krextar said, pointing at Max. "What are its primary combat functions?" Chris looked at Max, who was now sitting politely and trying to make friends with everyone in the room. "Max specializes in emotional operations. He can read people very well and knows exactly how to affect their feelings." This was perfectly true. Max could sense when someone was sad and would come over to comfort them. He could tell when children wanted to play and would bring them toys. But to the aliens, it sounded like advanced psychological warfare capabilities. "And the small one?" Krextar indicated Princess, who had stopped barking and was now staring at the aliens with intense curiosity. "Princess is our infiltration specialist," Helen said, getting into the spirit of the deception. "Her size allows her to access areas others cannot reach, and her vocal abilities can alert friendly forces from great distances." Again, this was true. Princess could squeeze into tiny spaces and her bark could be heard 3 blocks away. But the aliens heard it as a description of a perfect spy and communication device. The large dark one appears to be your tactical commander, observed Veloth, watching Duke's alert posture. Duke has extensive experience working with our security forces, Kate confirmed. He can assess situations quickly and respond to multiple types of threats. Duke's police training did make him good at reading situations and following complex commands. Kate's words were honest, but they painted a picture of a military strategist rather than a drug-sniffing police dog who loved playing fetch. And the Yaomi, sleeping one? Dr. Nexmol asked nervously as Charlie's snoring grew louder. Joe scratched his head. Charlie is our patient specialist. He can wait for hours without moving, tracking targets by scent over long distances. His endurance is legendary. Charlie could indeed track scents for miles, and he could certainly sleep for hours without moving. Joe had simply described a lazy hunting dog in terms that made him sound like a master of stealth operations. Max chose that moment to approach the alien general. His friendly nature overcame his training to stay by Chris's side. He walked slowly, toward Krekstar, tail wagging gently. "It's approaching," Veloth whispered urgently. "Should we activate containment?" "Hold," Krekstar commanded, though every instinct told him to run. He had to show strength in front of his soldiers. Max stopped, a few feet away, and sat down. He tilted his head slightly and looked up at the tall alien general with curious, friendly eyes. His tail continued to wag as he waited to see if this new person might want to be friends. To Krekstar, the dog's steady gaze looked like a predator evaluating its prey. The wagging tail seemed like a warning signal. The tilted head appeared to be the creature analyzing the best attack angle. "Remarkable control," Dr. Nexmol whispered. "It's waiting for orders while maintaining perfect tactical positioning." The room fell silent except for Charlie's continued snoring. Humans and aliens stared at each other across a gap of misunderstanding so wide that neither side could see the truth. Max continued to sit patiently, hoping someone would pet him. He had no idea that his simple desire for friendship was being interpreted as the calm patience of a perfectly trained killing machine. The tension in the room reached its breaking point as Max sat looking up at General Krekstar. The alien general stared back at what he believed was Earth's most dangerous weapon. His soldiers remained frozen, weapons ready, waiting for the creature to attack. Charlie's snoring grew even louder. The sound echoed off the metal walls like thunder. Several alien soldiers jumped at each new snort. "The sleeping one's combat trance is deepening," whispered Dr. Nexmol. "I've never seen such perfect meditation under pressure." Charlie shifted in his sleep, rolling onto his side. One of his long ears flopped over his face. A small bubble of drool formed at the corner of his mouth as he continued snoring peacefully. Suddenly, Princess wiggled out of Helen's arms. The tiny chihuahua jumped to the floor and ran directly toward the group of armed alien soldiers. Her little legs moved as fast as they could carry her. "Alert!" Veloth shouted. "The small unit is attacking." The soldiers raised their weapons, but Princess ran right between their legs without stopping. She headed straight for General Krekstar, yapping excitedly. To her, the tall alien looked like a new person to meet, and Princess loved meeting new people. "It's moving to flank the primary target," one soldier called out. Princess reached Krekstar and did what chihuahuas do best. She jumped up and tried to lick his face through his helmet's force field. Her tiny paws scratched at the energy barrier as she wagged her tail frantically. The general stepped back in shock. It's trying to breach my personal shields." "Sir, should we fire?" asked Veloth. But something in Princess's behavior made Krekstar pause. The creature wasn't showing any signs of aggression. Its mouth was open, but not in a threatening way. Its small tail moved back and forth with what looked almost like happiness. "Wait," he said slowly. "Something is wrong here." Dr. Amy Rodriguez saw her chance. She stepped forward carefully. "General, I think there's been a serious misunderstanding." "What do you mean?" Krekstar asked, still watching Princess try to get through his force field. "These aren't weapons," Amy said gently. "They're companions, friends, family members." "Impossible," Dr. Nexmole interrupted. We've seen the evidence, the training facilities, the specialized equipment, the breeding programs. Amy smiled. You've seen pet stores, dog parks, and families choosing pets they love. You've misinterpreted everything. She gestured to Max, who was still sitting politely near the general. Watch him carefully. Really watch him. Chris understood what Amy wanted. He pulled out a tennis ball from his pocket. Max, want to play? The moment Max saw the ball, his entire demeanor changed. His tail started wagging so hard his whole body wiggled. He jumped up and spun in a circle, then sat down and stared at the ball with intense focus. Chris threw the ball gently across the room. Max bounded after it joyfully, his ears flapping as he ran. He caught the ball and brought it back, dropping it at Chris's feet and looking up hopefully for another throw. The alien soldiers watched in confusion as Earth's supposed superweapon played fetch like an excited puppy. This is recreational activity? Asked Veloth uncertainly. It's play, Amy explained. They do this for fun, for happiness, because they love their human families. To demonstrate further, Kate called Duke over. Duke, shake hands. The German shepherd walked over and politely offered his paw. Kate shook it gently and gave him a treat from her pocket. Duke's tail wagged as he crunched the small biscuit. The reward system, Dr. Nexmole said slowly. It's not military conditioning. It's affection. Helen picked up Princess, who immediately calmed down and snuggled into her arms. The tiny dog licked Helen's face and made contented little noises. She's not a weapon, Helen said softly. She's my baby. I've had her for 6 years. She sleeps in my bed and gets scared during thunderstorms. General Krextar felt his worldview cracking. But the training programs, the specialized facilities. We teach them to sit and stay because we live together, Chris explained. We want them to be safe and happy. The facilities you found are places where they can run and play with other dogs. Amy brought up images on her tablet. These are what we call family photos. The screen showed children hugging dogs, elderly people walking slowly with patient canines by their sides, dogs wearing silly costumes at birthday parties, families camping with their pets sleeping in tents. They're not soldiers, Amy continued. They're emotional support, companionship, unconditional love. Joe walked over to Charlie, who was still fast asleep. He gently scratched behind the dog's ears. Charlie's tail thumped against the floor without him even waking up. Charlie here is probably the laziest creature on Earth, Joe said with a chuckle. His biggest achievement is sleeping through a thunderstorm. The only thing he hunts is a comfortable place to nap. Dr. Nexmole stepped closer to examine the sleeping dog. Charlie's peaceful expression and gentle breathing made him look nothing like a military asset. You mean to tell us, Krextar said, slowly, that you brought these creatures to a diplomatic meeting because you knew we feared them? Jake Morrison nodded. We realized you had misunderstood what dogs are, but we also realized that your fear of them could prevent a war. We thought if we could show you the truth, maybe we could find peace instead of fighting. The truth being that humans are so gentle that you share your homes with other species purely for emotional satisfaction? Veloth asked. That's right, Amy said. We don't make weapons out of animals. We make family members out of them. Max had retrieved his ball again and brought it to General Krextar. He dropped it at the alien's feet and looked up hopefully. When Krextar didn't respond immediately, Max nudged the ball closer with his nose and wagged his tail harder. He wants me to throw it, Krextar realized. He wants to play with you, Chris confirmed. To him, you're just another potential friend. Slowly, carefully, Krextar deactivated his personal force field. He reached down and picked up the tennis ball. Max's tail went into overdrive. The general threw the ball gently. Max raced after. It with pure joy brought it back and dropped it at Krextar's feet again. This time his tail wagging seemed to spread happiness to everyone watching. They just want to be friends, Krextar said in wonder. That's what dogs do, Helen said, cuddling Princess. They love unconditionally. They trust completely. They forgive everything. That's why humans share our lives with them. Over the next hour, the aliens learned about belly rubs, ear scratches, and the joy of making a dog happy. They discovered that Earth's most dangerous creatures were actually the most loving. They watched Charlie sleep peacefully while strangers petted him. They saw Princess perform tricks for tiny treats. They witnessed Duke's gentle patience as alien soldiers nervously touched his fur. General Krextar made his decision. "We came here to conquer a world," he announced. "Instead, we have discovered something my people have never known. A species that shares its love with other living beings, expecting nothing in return but companionship." He looked around the room, at humans and aliens now sitting together, with dogs happily accepting attention from everyone. "I hereby cancel our invasion of Earth," he declared officially. "Instead, I propose a cultural exchange. My people need to learn about this thing you call unconditional love." 6 months later, the first Zephyrian colony ship arrived at Earth carrying families instead of soldiers. General Krextar, now Ambassador Krextar, stepped off the ship with a small golden retriever puppy in his arms. The puppy, named Friendship in both human and Zephyrian languages, wagged his tail as he saw his new world for the first time. Jake. Morrison filed his final report on the incident. First contact successfully established through diplomatic deployment of Earth's most effective ambassadors. No shots fired. No casualties reported. Mission accomplished through strategic application of belly rubs and fetch. Recommend increased funding for universal pet adoption programs. The galaxy had learned that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe isn't a weapon at all. Sometimes it's just a wet nose and a wagging tail, ready to love anyone willing to be loved in return.